Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sarah Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Well, today we have a real treat. It's the Kaleidoscope collection from our friends at 49 and Market. It is absolutely gorgeous, and I can't wait to show it to you. So to start, there's a 6 by 8 inch collection pack. Now this contains 24 sheets. You'll have 2 each of 12 double-sided papers, plus 2 extra patterns on the inside of the cover sheets. Now this is everything that we love about 49 and Market. You've got your collaging work in here. You've got the botanical, some of this watercolor effect, beautiful patterns. Everything is designed to coordinate perfectly. You've got some really fun and bright combinations in here too. This is just such an inspirational collection. Now, some of the papers will go vertically, some will go horizontally. Here's one example. You can tilt those designs whichever direction you want them to go. And here's a good example of the inside cover. So this is the back of that cover sheet, and here's the pattern that you can put to use. So really nice value-packed collection here with our paper pack. Now to go along, we've got some embellishments. So we've got botanical rub-ons in this set right here. Now you've got 3 sheets in here, 6 by 12 inch transfers, and you can see the designs on here, but let me flip through and you can see them as they are. Really stunning collection. Lots of gorgeous leaves. Of course, they can all be used together or separately. And those butterflies as well. And then on the back of the packaging, here you can see these are the designs. And then you've got this area right here, this illustrated, really beautifully illustrated section that I think you can put to use for your paper crafting as well. So no need to let that go to waste. So those are the rub-ons. Then we also have some laser cut wildflowers. Now here you're going to have 4 sheets containing 66 elements, and you can see them here. Again, I'm going to flip this open, and you can see on the inside of that front cover you've got a lot of cutout elements there too. So a great way to take advantage of some of that as sort of extra space on the packaging. Now with the laser cut embellishments, these are beautifully detailed elements which you can just pop right out of that backing sheet and put onto your paper. So really easy to use, a lot of fun for layering. Take a look at those sweet little birds and butterflies there. So a lot to work with here. And of course, everything is designed to coordinate. Now, last but not least, we have a pack of 41 acetate embellishments. I know it's impossible to see anything inside the package, but if I flip it over, you can see some of the elements here. And I thought I could also just grab a piece of cardstock so you can see this is what the elements look like. So they're a nice acetate material, perfect again for using on their own or also layering. So if I just pop this down on the white cardstock, it looks gorgeous. Now I can also add some other embellishments around there or put it onto pattern paper. And this set has some really interesting pieces like this one here, which I think you could do some fun things with, layering some other acetate embellishments on top. I mean, there is just so much that you can do with this collection. It is just gorgeous and so inspiring too. Just a lot of fun to work with. So I'm having a great time exploring this, and I'm really happy that you are here with me today. So come play with us. This card features a combination of the pattern papers, the laser cuts, and the acetate. And on the inside, I've got a really beautiful rub-on. Now you might also notice my card base, which is a fun silver glitter that coordinates with the silver dazzle message on the front of my card. So let's take a closer look at the details. First, I'm starting with the 5 by 6 inch silver glitter card base. These are from hot off the press, and they come in a 10-pack with white envelopes. And Paulette made the suggestion to cut the cards in half and glue the trimmed down panel to a regular plain white card base, and then you get 2 for 1. So if you don't mind not having the silver on the back of your card, that is another option. So a really good tip. Now they also come in gold as well. Let me show you these, which I think is another gorgeous way just to add a little bit of sparkle to your project. So in the center of my card here, I've got several layered rectangles, both scallop and straight edge. And I've cut these from the 12 rectangles and scallop dies, one of my favorite sets. I'm sure you have already noticed. And I made sure when I was doing the die cutting to position my rectangle die so that I was able to capture this portion of this beautiful patterned paper. So I've got this tacked down with a little bit of low tack tape and then run it through my die cutting machine. And that's going to allow me to capture this beautiful section with the flower and the bird on here. And then of course, if I've got my straight edge, and then I've got my scalloped edge that's slightly larger, then I'm able to create this sort of layered effect in here. Now I've also popped up this top layer, the pattern paper, with some foam tape, as well as this bottom section here is added with foam tape too. So I've got a little bit of extra dimension on there. Then I've added this, I guess I'm calling it a film strip acetate piece, and then also this cologne label. This is also acetate, and I like that it adds another nice touch of dimension and a bit of shine. I think you can see that shine on there too, but it's also see-through too, so you can see the pattern in the text that's on this pattern paper especially well through this film strip piece. So I really like being able to create those nice layers with the acetate pieces. And then we also have a small collage of laser cut elements here with the bird and the postage. And these elements are overlapping each other, and they're also extending a bit off the edge of this top rectangle shape. And that's a nice way to kind of break the symmetry and all of the straight lines with the rectangle, 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 is just to bump that out a little bit. It's a little bit of visual interest in there. Then I have my Hello Dazzle sticker and this little heart down here, which is also on the Dazzle sheet. And let me show you one of my script dazzles, one that's a little bit bald, you might say. But you can see on here you've got the words, and then you also have some small shapes like little flowers and the hearts on there. And those are kind of extra fillers, but they are great for just adding another nice little touch in there. Then for my card inside, I have another layered rectangle with a rub-on flower and bird and this butterfly here. Now this is placed on top of some foliage acetate. So the leaves that you see here are acetate pieces. And then I've got another laser cut element, as well as a dazzle sentiment and a heart to complete the inside. Okay, now I have another card that I want to show you, and this one has a completely different color palette. And I really love how we can go from the bright teal and pink to a soft watercolor peach and green combination. I think that just speaks to the versatility of this collection. Now with this design, I've just trimmed off about 1.5 inches from the front panel of my white card base. So here, let me show you this. This is my blank card, and I've just used my paper trimmer to cut off 1.5 inches from only the front panel. And then what I like to do for these cutaway cards is really play with the combination of papers that I'm using. So I've covered just the front panel with this portion of the watercolor paper, and then I can line the inside of my card with this pretty peach. So I'm able to create a really nice coordinating effect that looks beautiful whether the card is open or closed. So it's another nice little design tactic to keep in mind. And I've also got a strip of gold glitter cardstock, and this is glued to the inside of the card, and that's also creating a bit of sparkle and dimension. So these sheets come It has 8.5 by 11 sheets like this. And I've just trimmed off a really narrow strip, making the most of all of my specialty cardstock, of course. But I think you can use just a little touch of it to create a really nice effect. Now this green portion that you see here is a cutout from the inside of the laser cut set. So you remember that it has some nice cutouts on the other side. Well, this is where it used to be. So I've just trimmed that out and then inked it with a little bit of my Midas Gold ink pad. So my standout favorite metallic gold ink pad. And I've just added some inking around the outside edge there and then matted it onto white cardstock. And I also inked the edges of that too. And then I've got my laser cut bird and I've got the foliage on here. This is another little rub on. And then this is also one of the cutouts. Now this is popped up on some foam tape, again for a little bit of extra dimension. And I've also inked around the outside edges with that Midas Gold ink pad too. And then for the inside, I have a collage here going up against the edge of my gold strip here. And this is, again, another one of the cutouts, this label. Then I've got an acetate piece here and then a laser cut, as well as a Sending Smiles message layered right on top. This card is almost finished, but not quite. And since it has many of the same elements as our first card, I thought we could take a look and then add the finishing touches together. So first I have my card base covered with pattern paper, and then I have a layered rectangle using those rectangle dies, die cut from plain white cardstock as well as the gold glitter cardstock. Now this is die cut from that 8.5 by 11 sheet. And you can see, even though it's a nice sturdy weight, it die cuts really beautifully. Now, if you were being really smart and you caught yourself before you glued these two layers together, you could get some extra mileage out of that rectangle piece and die cut maybe another smaller rectangle from the center so that you're just making use of those scalloped edges so that when you glue your focal on top, you don't necessarily need to have the inside portion of this. But I didn't think of that until I had it all securely glued in place. But another tip to keep in mind. So for my card focal, I've started with this pattern paper. Now this is from the other side of the, I think this is the back cover of that 6x8 collection, that really fun polka dot design. And so I've die cut this down into the smaller rectangle shape, and I can just glue this right in place here. And I've got my film strip element here glued up right on top of that pattern paper. And then I've also got some laser cuts. I've got this really beautiful little bird. He's popped up on foam tape. I also have this nice blossom and the leaf. So these are all separate elements. Now with this flower in particular, there are some potential add-ons. So in the laser cut collection, you also have this blossom here, and you've also got another smaller accent piece like so. Now you can use these singly if you want to, but you can also take these pieces, and this shape will go right on top of this blossom. So I've got some foam tape on the back here, and I'm just going to pop this down, and this is going to give me some instant dimension and depth on there. Now with these little guys, you could use these as corner accents. You could snip them apart if you wanted to. I thought they would be kind of fun to add another little layering effect here, and those are also popped up on some foam tape too. So you've got some options with this blossom in particular. Then I also have another script dazzle message down here, and I've layered this onto a label shape. Now this label die is from one of my new favorites. This is the 8 labels for your greetings, and it's this little guy here. And this is just a perfect size, even though the script dazzle extends just slightly past that label. I think it still works beautifully. So you don't necessarily have to have that fitting perfectly inside. Then for my card inside, I have a really big rub-on. So the birds and this flower, this is all one piece, along with those little splotches on here too. So all I needed to do was just layer a dazzle message on top along with a little heart, and my card is done. Okay, I've got another card project to show you too. Now I have to tell you, with this card, it took me a really long time because I have this green acetate piece here. I'm going to lift up a corner. I think you can see that. And I was taking a long time to experiment with this piece layered on top of all of the other different papers in this collection. And I had a hard time deciding because so many different options would work. But in this case, I have it on top of a light green design. And I like this kind of softness. You still get the shine of the acetate, but it really blends together beautifully for a tone-on-tone effect. And you can still see the texture and the pattern showing through. Now we've looked at cards with rub-ons, but I also wanted to point out that you can apply a rub-on onto acetate too, which is what I've done here with this leaf. I also have another acetate image layered on top of the acetate. So let's have a look at how this whole process can come together. And I'm going to bring in the other large acetate piece. This is the pink one, as you can see. Again, really nice detailing on here. Just pop it onto a blank white card, and you can see how beautiful that looks. You can simply glue this down right onto your cardstock, and to do that, I recommend one of the glue sticks, and this will do the trick perfectly. So what I'll do is flip this over, and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue on here and then position this down. And because it's a nice dark color, I'm not too terribly worried about having glue showing through there. With a wet glue, like a liquid glue, it's definitely going to be a little bit more squishy. And I think also a double-sided tape would probably show through too. So I always stick with my glue stick on things like this. Then if I'm going to add another acetate element on top, I'll do the same thing. You don't need a whole lot of glue. In fact, a lighter touch will be just as effective as applying quite a lot. I think sometimes we get glue in our hands and we feel like we really need to use a lot of it, but I think just a little bit will do the trick. So I'm just going to pop this right down on here. So then I've got my layers ready to go. So quite simple to do. Then if I want to add a rub-on on top, maybe I want to do this hummingbird, then what I can do, of course, I'm trimming out the bird with the liner sheet together from that main sheet. I'm just going to position this down here like so. And I will apply it just like I will any other surface. So if I'm applying a rub-on onto plain cardstock, I'll do the same process. But let's see how it looks on the acetate. So again, I'm just smoothing this down. I've got a little corner here that I can grab onto, and then I need some kind of burnishing tool, and I'm going to use a bone folder for this one. And I'm just going to burnish this gently but firmly in place. So I'm rubbing with the angled side of the bone folder, making sure I get all of the details and the edges of this bird shape. And then I'm just going to gently pull this up, and we'll see if I've gotten it all complete before I pull away that top layer. There we go. And then I've got my 3 elements all secured together. And it's just a really nice way to, again, create some extra dimension and some texture on here too. Okay, so I'm going to bring back in my card, and we can take another look here. So this green pattern paper has been matted with some gold glitter cardstock and then glued to the card front, which I covered with this beautiful green patterned paper. Then I've got a laser cut popped up on foam tape with this floral element and also the butterfly. This is a cutout from the collection. This is also popped up onto some foam tape. And then I have my Dazzle message going along the bottom there. Then for my card inside, I've got another rub-on, and I love just being able to use some of these leaf and floral shapes. Really simple, just one pass with your burnishing tool, and you've got a gorgeous image. And then you can layer on top your sentiment, and in this case, I've got another Dazzle. Our final card is using a new to me die called the Tuxedo Box Card Die, and that's going to give you this really fun dimensional effect. And at first when I saw the project examples that the other designers had made, I thought, oh, that looks really complicated, but it is actually really simple to do and a lot of fun too. And I like how it creates this open area and gives you a place for your card focal. So let's take a look at the die and how to assemble the card, and you'll see how simple it is to do. So this is the die that I'm working with. You've got 3 shapes in here. So you've got your base piece, you've got the tuxedo front piece, and then you've also got this tab, which is going to hold your card focal that you see on here. Now when I turn this over, you can see, as with hot off the press dies, they're going to give you some instructions, project ideas, and then up here, you've got your folding diagram, and this is where you can see it is super simple to put together. And they've marked on here too the V's for the valley fold and the M for the mountain folds. So you can see where everything is going to come together. But let's take a look. Well, I'll step you through it. And we can start with our 3 pieces as they're all die cut. And I've die cut them from different colors of cardstock so that you can see when we start putting things together. So this is my base piece, this is the front piece, and this is the focal holder, for lack of a better word. And the dies will not only cut the outside shape, but they will also make the score lines in here. So when you're folding up your score lines, so here are my valley folds, here's another valley fold. This is really simple to do. And I'm just going to score this down in place. And then with this one, I've got these 2 flaps that will fold back, like so. And then I've got this little tab, has some side flaps that also need to fold in. So you can see I've got a piece like this. So these are my 3 elements all coming together. Now, what you'll need to do before you glue these 2 together is glue this little tab in place. And so you'll measure 2 3/4 of an inch from the bottom and then simply secure this in place with those 2 tabs going straight down. So you can see here, 2 3/4 from the bottom, and I've secured that in place like so. And then what I'm going to do is take some double-sided tape. And I really recommend that you use the extra sticky tape for this because you want to make sure that you've got everything secured in place. So I put some of that tape on either side here, and then I remove the liner from just one side to start with, because otherwise if you have the liners off with that super sticky tape, things can get stuck down where you don't want them to go. And then I'll align this with the edge and the bottom of the card, secure it in place, and then secure the other side in place too. And then I've got my piece ready to go. And that's truly as simple as it is. And the fun part comes, of course, when you get to choose which pattern papers you're going to use and what you want to have as your focal. So I've cut my base piece from this paisley paper. On the other side, it's that gorgeous teal. And then I've got my front from the pink collage paper. So it folds over to have this text showing. This is the beauty of double-sided papers, is that you can really take advantage of both of those designs. And the center focal is a nested rectangle scallop die cut with that gold glitter cardstock, the white cardstock, and some acetate and some laser cuts on here. And there's also a little collage down here at the bottom, another one of the acetate pieces that I've just snipped apart. And I've got a laser cut bird and then the dazzle that's going across the whole front of the card. And that is our final project of the day today. So a big thank you to our friends at 49 and Market for these really gorgeous papers and embellishments. They were so much fun to play with. And a special thanks to you for joining me today. We're really glad you're here, and we're so happy that you're a part of our Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video, and you'll find the link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.